In this video, we'll be doing lots of stretches related to our hips. For those of us that have any SI joint issues, sacral iliac joint issues, we'll find that area and work the muscles that affect that area. Let's begin. We'll start in a seated position. As you come to sit, have your legs in a pinwheel position with your left shin forward, your right shin back. You want to create essentially like this 90-degree angle here at the knee. Place your hands right at your heels as a way to get the right hip to draw down a little bit more as you sit tall. In yoga, pigeon pose is very common, and I find that pigeon pose in classes doesn't work for a lot of people because of knee issues. Now turn toward the front and place your hands forward. So this is a modified pigeon pose that most of us can access. We did that twist so that you can get your right hip to draw down slightly. Now with your hands forward, bend your elbows. Notice in your left leg how you're starting to feel, just especially at the hip area, just a little bit of a stretch there. Lift yourself up. Come to the opposite side. So take your right shin forward, the left leg again. Just find out for you what that 90 degrees looks like. Take your hands right. I like the palms of the hand, if possible, to the heel. Press the heel into the hands so that you can just get a little bit more length in the right side ribs and let the left hip draw down a little bit more. Now come back to the forward position. Again, draw your heart forward. This modified pigeon pose just does a similar action as the full pose, but is not as strenuous on the knees. If you have some knees, they get a little fussy in that pose. And as you're ready, you can lift yourself to come out of the pose. Lie on your back now. And as you lie on your back, bend your knees. Draw your right knee in and interlace your fingers right behind the right thigh, right in the belly of the hamstrings there. So you're really pulling the thigh in very fully. So with the right knee drawing in, extend your left leg out so you get lots of extension on one leg and hip flexion on the other. Just reach your right foot up and as if you're pressing into the ceiling, pull the thigh with your interlaced fingers toward your ribs as you reach the foot up. Just hold that for a few breaths here before releasing and place your right foot to the mat, bend your left knee, and let's do this on the opposite side. So hug your left leg in, interlace your fingers behind the thigh to really draw it into a deep hip flexion. Reach your right leg straight back out. So keep on pulling the thigh in. You might want to activate your left toes by spreading them and drawing the toes toward your knee as you lift the foot up. And keep a nice action in the extended leg. You're trying to reach the right foot as far away from you as possible while taking the left thigh really close. Release now, release that foot. Roll over to your left side and have your left arm as your pillow. You can bend your bottom leg, and just for balance so that you don't tip over. If you can keep it straight, that's fine too. Place your thumb or your index finger and middle finger to your low back and find what we call the SI joint by lifting your knee up, and you should feel a little movement there in the back as you press very firmly into that area so that you can just kind of guide your own understanding of this area as you lift your knee up and drop it down. You're pressing into the SI area so that you can kind of get a little bit of relief here. Now, lift your knee up away from the mat, reach it out, and slowly take it down. Let's do that a few more times here. Keep pressing that low back area as you bring your knee up. Let it just park itself down to the mat. From there, keep the knee bent and lift it away from the floor. Reach out as you spread your toes and let the foot just kind of draw down. Do this one more time. Bend your knee, draw it in toward your heart. Let the knee just draw down. Now lift it away from the floor. Lift it up high, reach it out, and lower your foot down. Very good. And release. Let's just lie on your back for a moment. Maybe you can feel a difference in the sides. Let's balance the sides out by coming to the opposite side. So I'm going to roll over so that I can still see you. As you draw over to the side, let your arm just be your pillow. And in the same way, again, it can be a straight bottom leg or a bent leg. Just balance yourself first. So once you find your position, take your hand right to that joint area that we're working on and press in. One way to find it again is just to bring your knee up, and you'll feel where that sacral edge is by the ilium, the SI joint. So draw the knee up now, press down with your thumb or index finger and middle finger. Take the knee down, lift it up, reach out, and lower down. Again, bend the knee, draw it down toward the earth. Now lift the knee away from the earth, reach out, and lower down. One more time. Bend your knee, draw it in and down. Lift it up and away. Reach out as you're still pressing that SI area. Release down, just to bring your awareness to that area. Now let's come up to all fours position. And as you come to all fours position, we'll be going into a lunge. And for me, I need a little bit of support with my back knee on the floor. If you feel like your back knee could use some support, grab a towel or a blanket. Have your left leg be your back leg as you step your right foot forward. So often in lunges, I find myself uh, down to the floor, which is one version, my hands to the floor. But in this version of the lunge, we'll keep the shoulders right over the pelvis. So as you keep your back foot, especially your back toenails pressing down, just come just softly into the lunge. Just see how far you can go to get just a nice extension there. And come back out of the pose. Now let's add the arms to that lunge. So drop into the lunge. Reach your arms up, spread your fingers, take your gaze up, take your hands back as you get this nice opening to the chest. Release your hands and come back to the lunge. Now have your right knee on the mat. Have your left foot forward. And once again, we just start in this variation of the lunge with a nice line up. The hip right over the knee, the shoulders right over the hip. From here, with the back foot pressing down, just guide yourself slowly into the lunge. Keep this nice posture, this nice elongation. As you draw slowly deeper into the pose, the pelvis draws down more. Now slowly come out of the pose. So the legs stay very active as you do this. Now let's combine the movement of the opening of the pelvis with a nice elongation to the side body. So as you draw the pelvis down, reach your arms up and have the hands nice and wide apart, the fingers spread, your gaze up to soften into the pose a little bit more. And exhale, release out of the pose. Let's come to a standing position now. As you make your way to a standing position, step your right foot forward and lift your right toes up. So we call it dorsiflexion of the ankle. So make sure that you can stay balanced with your toes lifted up. Take your hands to your low back, just to that area that we've been looking at or we've been working on. Press the palms to the low back as you just draw the flesh toward the earth. Have this feeling that you're getting this nice lifting quality from the heel to the pelvis as you draw down toward the straight leg. Now inhale and lift yourself up. It's kind of a balance pose. So if that's the case for you, just hold on to the wall or something rather than having your hands to the low back. Let's come to the opposite side. So take your left foot forward, just a short step there. Lift your left toes up and spread your left toes. Hug your elbows in toward each other so that you get this nice opening in the upper chest. And exhale, draw your heart forward. So it's not like you're rounding the spine. You're trying to keep the spine nice and elongated, just like we were in the lunge as you draw down. Inhale, lift yourself up. Exhale, release your foot back. Step your right foot forward again. Lift your right toes up again. Now do a slight bend to the back knee. Back knee bends, front leg is straight. Hands can be to the low back as you once again just be quite mindful of the length of the spine as you draw down. Inhale, lift yourself up. Step the front foot back. Take the back foot forward. Lift your toes up. Bend your back knee. Same thing, top of the thigh moves back. Heart reaches forward. You just like a little curtsy here, just drawing down to get nice length in the back side of the legs. And inhale, lift yourself up. Very good. Release. Sometimes when I stand on one leg, I feel like there's too much cushion in the yoga mat. So I really like the firmness of the floor. As you stand on your right leg, see if you can lift your left foot up and take it down. So it's a balanced pose where we're just hiking one side of the hip up, and you'll start to feel how it engages like a different set of muscles than when sometimes we do stretches to the side. You'll see that it gets to a very specific part of the hip as you lift one foot up and place it down. So you're not leaning, you're just trying to stay as elongated and balance. You're trying to stay with a nice balanced action on the sides of the body as you lift one foot up and down. So you're just getting this area of the hip to create a little bit more freedom, just guiding those muscles that lift the hip. Now release your foot down. Let's come to the opposite side. So you're on your left leg. You're lifting the hip so the right foot comes off the mat and down. I want to do this slowly and keep this awareness to the foundation of the four corners of the foot, the base of the toe, the base of the pinky toe, and kind of midway on the heel, on the inside and outside of the heel. Just see if you can keep a nice balanced action as you keep on lifting the hip up and down. And notice maybe one side on these hip hikes, one side hikes up a little bit more than the other. Just kind of notice that. That's what yoga gives us, this awareness. I was thinking about this awareness that yoga gives us. Keep on doing your hip hikes. And thought about Archimedes. And Archimedes taught us a lot about buoyancy and displacement of water. The moment that he figured this out, he was in his bath and he was so excited, the story goes, that he yelled, Eureka, and went out of the bath running around without clothes on in his excitement. Not that we would do the same thing, but this is what yoga gives us, this awareness, this kind of thrill about understanding our body. As we work these muscles around the hips, we'll start to understand a little bit more, possibly even have those eureka moments as we work our hamstrings. So step the right foot forward. Have your left foot planted down. Now, before we were lifting the toes up, this time the toes are down. We'll do parsvottanasana, a straight leg pose where the back heel roots down very firmly. To open the chest, let's interlace our fingers behind the back. This is a variation with the fingers interlaced, but the legs stay straight. The legs hug in toward each other to stay steady. As we draw forward, you start to notice, oh, there's a little bit more stretch going on. You're feeling the back side of the leg, but try not to round your spine to bring the nose toward your knee. Keep a nice elongation of the spine as you draw yourself a little bit deeper into the pose. Lift yourself up out of the pose. Step the back foot forward, take your right foot back. Balance yourself first. In whatever position, can be palms to the low back like we did before, or fingers interlaced, or even hands in a reverse prayer pose will work. So draw the weight to the back heel first so that you can anchor yourself very fully. Keep that anchored back foot as you draw your heart forward, and you keep the legs working in, hugging in toward one another, toward the midline. Keep a nice elongation of the breath to help you just draw yourself a little bit deeper into the pose. And slowly lift yourself up out of the pose. Release your hands down. We'll do a squat now. And if you know that for your knees to go to a deep squat doesn't work for you, no worries. But You might want to have something close by so that you can hold on to that. One of the things I see frequently is that knees come forward and heels lift up. We'll try to keep our heels down. Maybe you can take a little bit wider stance. So with your feet wider than hip distance apart, bend your knees. See if you can keep that nice elongated spine that we've been working on. Again, if you'd like to hold on to something as you draw yourself down so that you can keep roughly knees over ankles, not knees forward, not heels lifted. You're just keeping the heels down. For some of us, our squats kind of look like we're drawing down just slightly, and that's just plenty for our knees. We just have to honor where we're at. But we can find these eureka moments in our practice in a variety of ways, just discovering our bodies through the practice. Release your pelvis now to the mat and come to a seated position where the right leg is extended out and the left knee is bent. Some of us like a little support with a block under the knee, if that's the case for you, or if the knee's not happy, you can just have your foot pressing down. So with whatever form of the pose you're in, take your right hand to the inner knee or inner thigh area, push the leg into the hand. As you work the strength of the right arm against the inner right leg, the leg stays very active. Take your left arm up. Keep the fingers very engaged by spreading the left fingers as you slide your right hand toward your ankle. Keep on working the outside of the hand against the inside of the straight leg as you reach up and over. Inhale, press the hand against the leg, press the leg against the hand to rise up. Come to the opposite side, and again, do any adjustments that work for you so that this knee is very happy in the pose. So rather than turning toward the straight leg, we're actually just keeping our alignment parallel. It's slightly different than janu sirsasana. So have the left hand pressing to the inner knee or inner shin bone. Open up the palm nicely. So as you work this very dynamic action, the left leg is pushing into the hand's pushing back to allow you to open up nicely as you reach your right arm up. Slide the left hand just a little bit and keep working the leg. Keep working the hand against the leg and slide the hand a little bit deeper. Keep working the hand against the leg and go a little bit deeper. Maybe you're kind of having one of those eureka moments, really discovering, bringing your awareness to how this side feels compared to the other. And perhaps noticing that, you can know in your own practice which side that you need to spend a little bit more time in. Inhale, lift yourself up out of the pose and straighten both legs. Having just a little elevation under your pelvis really helps. With just a little bit of elevation on this blanket, I find that I can come more forward on my sit bones and preserve the natural lumbar curve. This twist is just slightly different than marichyasana. We'll bend the left knee, keep the right leg straight, place the foot just to the outside of the knee. And we're trying to actually get this hip area that we've been working on through the practice, just to pay a little bit more attention to that area. So now twist toward the bent leg. We're not going too deep into this twist, But you may want to take your right hand to the outer knee, the left hand behind you. If you've got a block, the hand can be on a block, and you can get even more length as you turn your heart toward the bent leg side. Release now out of the twist to come to the opposite side. So straighten the left leg, bend your right leg. One of the poses we do very frequently is to place the foot right in front of the pelvis. But for this practice, we're going to do a little bit different, few variations in this practice to the standard yoga poses. Take the foot to the outside of the left knee with the power of the right leg. Pull the right thigh in. So the leg is very active. Your hand is there. Most people overpower this pull of the hand, but the leg has to really be doing a lot of work. Support lengthening the spine by pressing your right hand down. And again, twist. You can even turn your gaze over your right shoulder if you wish. And release out of your twist to lie on your back. As you lie on your back, bend your knees. Draw your knees over to your left side with the knees forward of the pelvis. With the right leg on top of the left, lift your knee up, but keep your feet together. So right leg lifts just like a clamshell, and take your right knee down. Let's do this several times here. Lift your knee up. Slowly take it down. Very slow action so that we can work on some hip abduction. Hip abduction. Lift your knee up. You want to go really slow as you do this. Draw your knee down. Two more. Lift your knee up. Draw your knee down. And one more. Lift up and take it down. So lift both knees up. Now take your right arm on top of your left. So just as your right knee is on top of your left knee, your right hand is in prayer position on the left hand. Reach the hand way forward. Now take the arm up and over. Keep your knees now where they are. Just open up really nicely. Now let's come to the opposite side. In the same way that we did, let your right arm be your pillow. Have the knees forward. So now your left leg is on top. Keep your feet together as you lift your left knee up. Draw it down. Lift your left knee up. Take it down. And again, lift it up. Just notice the difference on this side. Maybe again, you'll have a little moment, that moment of awareness, like how this is different than the opposite side. That knowledge you can take into your yoga practice. One more time, slowly you're lifting the knee up and down. Now let's come to a twist by reaching your right arm forward. Have your left hand just slide, reach it way forward so you get this nice fullness in the back body. From there, take your arm up and over. Keep your knees where they are. Let your breath help to get this feeling of spaciousness, this new awareness that twists bring to us. Now come out of the twist. We've given so much attention to the hip area, especially to the SI area. We'll assimilate these actions in a final resting pose. But before we do that, as you line your back with your knees bent, take your blocks if you have them. If you don't have them, you can still just push your knees in toward a pillow or a blanket or something. Just pull the knees inward to the blocks so that you're really hugging the blocks nicely. Lift your feet up off the mat. Keep hugging the blocks. Take a hold of your knees as you still hug the blocks. It's a really strong action that you're doing to invite more balanced action. So as you hold on to the knees, you're hugging the block. Your toes are active. Your feet are reaching away from your head. And you're getting a nice curve in the spine. Now you can release the blocks or whatever your knees were hugging and extend your legs out, extend your arms out to the side with your palms open. Close your eyes. These eureka moments that the yoga practice gives us an awareness, different parts of our body, different muscles that we work in the yoga postures. During the practice, there may have been some moments, some eureka moments that you discovered something new. That discovery just prompts you to explore more, to go deeper into your practice, to refine your practice, to customize your practice. So as you lie in Shavasana, see how you can keep that refinement alive simply through focus of your breath. The breath alone can serve to massage all the way to the area we've been focusing on, to the area of that pelvis. Stay attuned to your breath. Continue to assimilate the knowledge that you gained in the practice. If your time allows it, please stay in Shavasana. If you need to go to the activities of your day, then very slowly make your way out of the pose. Thank you so much for joining me in this exploration of the hip area, especially the SI joint. With gratitude, we bow to the teachings of yoga. Namaste.